Welcome to Simple Kicking with your host, James Harrison.
In 2019, Austin McNamara was named Freshman All-American as a punter for Texas Tech. Initially, I planned this discussion to be a single episode with Austin and his father, Brian. If you're interested to listen, you'll find that Austin's hard work in high school and his father's guidance were both reoccurring themes. After the discussion was wrapped up, we went off the record to hang out for a few more minutes. During that time, it was clear that Austin was warming up, and he was ready to share more. Consequently, Episode 2 has a second segment, going deeper into the strategy, which figuratively punted his name into the record books. Austin, how are you going to deal with the success of your freshman season?
Yeah. So after every season and every year, I just kind of recap, and all the accolades and accomplishments and awards are always definitely rewarding, and for all the hard work that I've tried to put in to kicking and punting and to my craft. So seeing that is definitely obviously mean to everybody. It's really warming, I guess, to be able to receive those. But at the same time, I try and put them to the side, acknowledge that, but put them to the side, and kind of just keep building off of that. That's what I'm trying to do right now in the off season still, as in the summer. In the summertime is where I usually make my biggest strides in the summer. And I try and really focus, try and get better every day. And whether it's obviously not kicking every day, but doing the little stuff, doing drills, stretching, some stuff that we have here at Texas Tech with our strength coaches. They do a great job with us here. As far as, keeping us fresh and everything. So I try and learn from them and try and get my body back and rebuild it up. So, and then I just try and do it again next season and kind of keep stacking it up until whenever my time is done, and my dad, we've always talked about, you could be done tomorrow, you never know. And so I try and do everything I can today to try and get better. And, try not to regret anything. That's my biggest thing too, is I don't want to regret not doing anything and it hurting me in the season or hurting me whenever. So that's why I try and put the work in, work hard. And then, if the accolades come, that's fine. If they don't, then I'll just keep working and trying to get better. So that's why that's my mindset going into every season, off season, and really every day. So.
Okay, you've talked about hard work a lot. We've heard it in the first segment, hashtag hard work pays off. But what is hard work to you?
On kicking days, just definitely, quality reps over quantity, right? Quality over quantity. And just hitting, good balls, working on every single type of punt that you might need for your season, whether it's traditional, the 2-step or 3-step, whether it's rugby, instead of 10, whatever it is, and really just trying to, work on your craft, just trying to get better. And then on off days, I would say, obviously here at Texas Tech, we're lifting a lot. So I'm trying to get, build muscle, build strength, build flexibility, all that kind of stuff, which will obviously translate to the field. And then also just doing drills, doing drops. One thing I'm trying to get really better at is doing more drops each day, and try and get in a routine with that. And so I would just say, just doing drops, doing your steps, doing some dry runs. That's kind of what I do. And I try and do that every single day, to kind of keep that muscle memory, because muscle memory is something that if you can create that, it makes it a lot easier. And it helps you get better results. So that's what I try and do.
Tell them about your sleeping too, Austin, and eating.
Yeah. So for sleeping, I go to bed. This past season was definitely a lot more on my body, because I wasn't used to it as a true freshman, going from high school, graduating in May, and then getting into routine in August. So it kind of came at me really fast, but I kind of just sat down and tried to make a plan, put a plan together as far as what I'm going to do each day. Obviously take care of all my school in the morning and football in the afternoon, but in eating in between that and stuff. But as far as sleeping wise, trying to get as much sleep as I can. I usually set, a time to go to bed each night. It's probably, for me, and obviously it's different for everybody as far as your schedule wise. whatever time you have to be up and what time you get done with practice. But for me personally, I go to bed between, around 10 o'clock each night. I have to get up by, like 6:30. And so I try and just create that habit and routine. I got a routine every single day of doing that. And it worked out for me. And I think it helped contribute to my success, because in high school, I just I wasn't as disciplined, I guess. And I just didn't really think about it that much. But now that I'm in college, and I'm on my own, trying to really set that in stone. And as far as eating wise, at Texas Tech, they feed us really good here, and they know really what's best for us. And we've spent countless hours on nutrition with a nutritionist and our strength coach. And so they teach us a lot about nutrition and strength and how to get better, how to rebuild your body. And that's been a huge thing for me too, personally. I try and take that and use it in my life every day. So it's been really helpful as far as that aspect.
You're talking about routine, you're talking about habits, nutrition. Like, what is the strategy though? Like, you're getting better, you're getting stronger. Walk me through what you're actually doing.
Yeah, I try, and during the summer, that's kind of where I put the work in, and
spring too.
Yeah, spring, because we have spring ball obviously too, and I try and get better during spring ball and in the weight room and stuff. Usually, in this off season, I really try and get better in the weight room, and trying to get bigger and stronger. And then once fall camp, rolls around or it's getting pretty close, I try and just kind of get ready for that. But up until that point, I'm always, if it's off the field, lifting and eating and sleeping and doing drills and stuff. But if I'm on the field, I want to make strides, really focus in on the technique part of it. And that's what I try and do, and try and put those two together.
You gained 25 pounds in 7 months, James. 25 pounds in 7 months. That's not just eating a bunch of protein. It's a lot of lifting too.
Yeah.
Dude, 25 pounds in 7 months. Sounds like you need to go shopping and you need to get some new clothes. Again, guys, we're talking with Austin McNamara. He is the Texas Tech punter, and he was named Freshman All-American in 2019 and All-Big-12 as a true freshman. We've talked about what you're doing physically, nutrition-wise, sleeping. Next question. Rank the following from most important to least important: leg strength, technique, and the mental game, mindset.
I would say, I think mindset is the first one. And why I say that is because I think if you're in a really good, state of mind, and you can control your mind, your body will come after it on its own. For me, I've had to kick 2 game winners in high school. Each time, people, and even like here at Texas Tech, people ask me, what do you think about, before you punt or before you kick? And honestly, I don't really think about anything really. I mean, I just kind of get my mind right. I know some people sometimes struggle with that, and so I try and give them the best advice I can. And it's just try not to think too much about it. Just go out there and do your thing. And I think for me personally, for mindset wise, is if I know that I put the work in the off season, and I know that I've done everything I can, then I know, the outcome is going to be good. And I know that I've just tried my best, and hopefully, and it'll all work out. So I think mindset, especially in camps and games, especially, in practice even too, you got to have that good mindset. And I think the biggest thing is, if you make a mistake, move on. Me and my dad say we don't make the same mistake twice. Whether I do something, drop it inside or too far outside or swing across or whatever it is, or miss, leave my, don't come through on a field goal and all that kind of stuff, right? If my legs line, swinging down the line is off, whatever, I try and fix that the next time, and let the bad ones go. That's a big part about kicking and punting. If you make a mistake, hit a bad ball, mishit it, just forget about it, move on, and go to the next one, and you'll have a lot better result that way. So I'd rank mindset as number one for sure, at least for me. So,
and I here in Arizona with the high school kids, and like I do with Austin, like what Austin just mentioned about making mistakes. Like I always, like I said, I tell the kids, it's okay to make a mistake. We just don't make the same mistake twice. It's not we don't fail. We learn from a mistake, right? And because I want kids to be relaxed, not afraid to try something new. And I feel like if their mind is relaxed, and again, I don't get upset if they hit a bad ball. We just learn from it, and as long as we don't make the same mistake 2 times in a row, we're good. We just keep moving on and keep pressing forward.
Right. Look, keep moving forward, keep improving. But let's get down to the bolts. You averaged 45 yards a ball this season. Was that what your anticipated expectation was?
Expectations for myself. I would say, punting wise, I really want to. I think I try and up my expectations a little bit every year. Just kind of set that standard for myself, so I can. I want to be able to set a standard, set a bar for myself, so that I can not only meet it but improve off of it. That's what I did last year. It kind of just depends on each game. I kind of set a different mindset. And what I mean is, it depends on the conditions. Maybe the conditions are bad for that game. Because I know some guys just want to hit 55 yards, 5-0 balls every single time. And, I think, I try and think of, I just want to, hit a good ball, whatever that is during that game or practice. I kind of set that bar for myself and not make my expectations too high to where I think about it too much. And then that will allow you to, kind of miss it, or things kind of go bad from there, I think. So, and I've learned that over time, especially at, in practices and camps and stuff, me and my dad would always watch, the older guys, right? When I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, and watch seniors in high school or freshmen in college, kick either on television or live or whatever, and it's really easy to get caught up in that and be like, hey, I want to be like that. I want to hit that ball right now. But you got to set that expectation for yourself and set that bar, so you don't exceed it and kind of get in your own head. And that's when bad things happen. So that's what I try and do.
Again, this is Austin McNamara, the freshman All-American punter from Texas Tech. In 2019, he was outstanding, and his father, Brian, is joining as well. Okay, Austin, we're talking about setting expectations, and you play in one of the most difficult environments, which is Lubbock, Texas. For those who do not know where Lubbock is, it is in the panhandle of Texas, far west Texas. And a calm day is 10-mile-an-hour wind. And the gusts can be really, really high. So, Austin, you are there in the windiest city, in one of the windiest cities in Texas. How are you practicing?
I would, in the off season, like I said, I practice into the wind all the time. Being here, it's really windy here, like every single day. Almost pretty much every single day, honestly. And so the biggest thing I can say is practice when it's windy. Hit kicks, hit field goals, hit punts, whatever you're doing. And even in the rain too. It doesn't rain, I guess, as much as other parts of the country do, in Lubbock at least. So I don't have to deal with the rain, I guess, as much as other guys do, but wind for sure I deal with every single day. And I get lucky, in the days that there's no wind. But here, I practice into the wind, both sides. So I'll kick into the wind, and work on my technique, work on my form. Then I also kick downwind, and most guys, like you see, like field goal kickers or either punters too, they just want to kick downwind because it flies 80 yards down the field. Which is great. But you also want to be able to kick it into the wind. So you're 2-dimensional. You don't want to be 1-dimensional, just kicking downwind. So, and then with crosswind too, I honestly can say I haven't kicked. I haven't had a lot of days where there's crosswind. It's usually into the wind or behind my back. Probably 80% of the time, I would say, at least here in Lubbock. So, but every once in a while you will get that crosswind. And I would say, just try and practice. Crosswind is definitely tough for sure. But it just takes practice. That's all it is. It just takes time and practice and a lot of reps. So
You notice other kickers when they trot out on the field, or punters, their mind is not always on their target. Their mind is elsewhere and on the elements. So it sounds like you really have confidence in what you're doing regardless of the wind conditions.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I'm 100% confident in it because, like I said, I've done it so many times, done it in wind, downwind, in games, in practice, and I kind of work on that. And I think another thing too is I kind of think of this a little bit too is my coach Mike, he always says, keep it simple. Punting, if you keep it simple, it comes, and you just want to keep everything simple, and that's what I try and think about. So I don't want to get too crazy, and that kind of happens. That kind of turns into bad. Sometimes it can turn into a bad punt if you have a lot of moving parts, I guess. So even though there is windy conditions, I try and I perfect my drop into the wind. Try and get that drop every single time so I can get the best ball I can, despite the wind and however hard it's blowing. And I just try and keep it simple and keep that drop the same. So good things will happen.
One of my favorite things about Saturdays in the fall is game day. You wake up early, and there's Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard and Chris Fowler, all the guys, Pat McAfee, who has been so much fun on that show. But right after, Lee makes his pick and everyone's going crazy, you have the 11 o'clock games. And the Red Raiders had a couple of 11 a.m. games this year, right?
So we actually had like 4 or 5 11 a.m. games this year. So I got a few of them, and I think mostly all of them. I mean, there wasn't a ton of wind, to be honest, at least from the field when I was down there.
It's cold.
No, yeah, when you get warm, it's not.
It's not cold.
Yeah, but I mean. The conditions, obviously, it just depends. It varies in Lubbock. It's like it rains and then it starts sunning and then it starts snowing and it starts hailing. So it's like it's crazy. But so you never really know. But at least for here, 11 a.m. games, sometimes it'd be windy. If it was windy, I just kind of say, all right, time to change my mindset a little bit. That's what I was talking about earlier about having your expectation and mindset for that game. Because every game is different. Every time is different.
All right, so we're just spitballing over here about the wind and the conditions. Again, this is Austin McNamara, freshman All-American punter at Texas Tech, and his father, Brian. Okay, according to WeatherSpark, I'm looking at my computer as we're talking here, when is it the most windy in Lubbock? And what this says is the windiest part of the year is actually during the off-season from January to June, and the average wind speed is anywhere between 10 and 13 miles an hour. Again, that's the average wind speed. But then during the season, your average wind speed, from August to December is somewhere between 9 and 11 miles an hour. Dude, that's incredible. You're actually practicing in the off-season in tougher conditions than you play in during the season. Did you know that?
I didn't. No, I've only been here a year, so I really don't know. But, I mean, I knew for sure, I know spring ball. I remember some practices, it'd be pretty windy, but for games-wise, it'd still be like 9 miles an hour. Sounds about right for sure. I was never really, too bad, I guess, during game.
So you were learning your freshman year about, getting the feel for what's going on and what it's really like. And that's crucial for punting because whenever the ball starts dying and the wind is still blowing, the ball does funky things.
So I'm still getting a feel for it. I remember when I first got here, in games and in practice, and then even this past, spring ball, we had a few practices before spring break and the COVID stuff and everything. So I've been still trying to figure out, trying to play the wind for sure here. It definitely changes as far as, direction or speed or whatever it is. And so I talk about that a lot with Coach Wells, my head coach. We talk about that. He's giving me some good pointers and some tips about the wind and, trying to help me, handle it. Because I'm in Arizona, we never really have, a lot of wind. It's nothing like here, nothing even close to it. And so this is kind of all new for me and trying to get used to kicking here. And so I knew when I committed here, I heard that it was really windy. So I knew what I was getting myself into for sure. But as far as conditions wise, I know when you hit it up pretty high, the ball will definitely change either the spiral or the direction that it's going. On the ground, obviously we're, below. So it, from my drop at least, it won't really affect it as much. But I know when the ball gets in the air, sometimes it can, start to wobble a little bit or change direction, like I said. So I'm trying to get used to it for sure. I've had a few punts this year, which I would have, I wish I would have gone back just because of the wind. It kind of, carried my ball one way or another. And so I'm trying to get used to handling that and trying to beat it. So.
Ironically, I think your windiest game, Austin, was at Arizona.
Yeah, no,
that night game.
Yeah.
So ironically, that he practices in Lubbock where the wind's at, comes home to Arizona to play in front of his friends and family, and it happens to be probably the windiest game, and especially where the Arizona stadium is situated on the south side, a little more open. But at the same time, though, you probably had one of your best games against Arizona, even though it was probably the windiest in terms of putting two balls inside of the one in one game. And then other balls were mashed pretty good. So interesting how that worked out.
The reason why we're talking about the win for the last couple segments of this episode is it's such an important part of your game and what you dealt with. And it really makes it all the more incredible that you had the success that you did.
Yeah. The conditions are always, it's always sometimes hard to deal with, especially as a young, last year I was just a true freshman. So I try not to let it overwhelm me. Just try and, like I said, let my muscle memory and take over. And I know sometimes, it can get in your head with other conditions, whether it's snowing, raining, windy and all that kind of stuff. I've never played in a snow game yet, thankfully, but I know when it, if I ever have to, I'll always be ready for it, just with that mindset. So that's the biggest thing, as a young punter that I've tried to learn from other guys too, is, sometimes they can be, overwhelming at times, but you just gotta, keep pushing through and try your best to not let it affect you. So.
Well, that's why you have your boys on the sideline. You got your kicker and your punter to hang out with, the backups, and, you're strolling up and down the sidelines, checking out what's going on in the crowd, or at least that's how I dealt with the idle moments. But as you're shaking things off, you're getting ready for the next kick, you're thinking, what is your next ball going to look like? How do you determine what your ideal ball is, hang time or distance or direction?
Yeah. So if we're going into the win, I try obviously hit a lower ball. And so I guess my ideal ball that I'd be happy with, it's probably, obviously I try and hit every ball over 40 yards and above 4 seconds of hang time. That's kind of that's my goal into the win for sure. I try and hit, at least like a 4.2, maybe give my guys a little time to get down there. And then distance, I try and hit it maybe a little bit higher, because I won't probably get a lot of distance on it if we're going into the win. So, I try and hit maybe like a, 4.2 ball, maybe a little bit more than that. That's probably my ideal goal. And I've been working on that in the off season. I can hit that, pretty much every single time, into the win. And I also, the biggest thing also for me too, is obviously direction. So I hit it directional, either left or right. And so I try and, work on that as well. Not just hitting a ball, to the opposite side of the field and our guys are not over there. So that's a big thing too, is trying to get the right direction, either left or right or down the hash. So,
dude, 42, 4.2. I mean, these guys out there are posting things on social media of 4.8, 5.0, 5.2 balls.
Big ball. That's nice. I wish I could do that.
You're saying 42 was the number you were looking at?
Try and put it realistic so that, then I always try and, over, and I try and beat that every single time, whatever it is. So.
What expectation did Coach Tommerdahl put on you when you first arrived on campus in Lubbock as, start, potentially starting punter as a true freshman?
Mm-hmm.
What did he tell you to make you feel when you knew what it was?
So it was probably, he wanted anything around from like a 38-yard 3.8 to like a 40 4.0. That was like the expectation he had for me coming in as a true freshman. So
let's get this right. So you had a 38 to 40 yard kick from 3.8 seconds to 4 seconds. Wait, hold on. Wasn't 45 your average?
Yeah, I averaged 45 yards last year. So
4.3 hang.
4.3 hang.
But didn't that make you relax though? When you're like, that's it, 38 to 40. I got that. I can do that. That helped you relax.
That's kind of one of my secrets. Yeah, that's why I kind of set that lower bar expectation, because I know that I can hit that as long as I keep my technique and muscle memory and everything, right? I know that I can hit that 42-yard 4.2 ball that I was talking about earlier. I know I can hit that every single time into the wind for sure. But it kind of helps you relax, because if you're trying to hit a 5.0, 40 or 45-yard ball every single time, it gets really overwhelming, and you also just kick, your technique gets sloppy and your mindset goes, crazy and stuff. So you won't be able to hit that as much as you could if you set your bar a little bit lower. So that's what I try and do for myself. That's what I've learned over time, especially last year.
Okay, so I get true freshman who learned to keep the expectations low because conditions are wacky, windy, cold, rainy, not yet snowy, but key theme, keep my expectations low so that I can go out there, relax, do my thing, and then you look up and you've got a 45-yard net average.
Hey, Austin, contrast this with your first, we'll call it 2 games probably, of your senior year of high school, where you had just, you were number 2 ranked punter in the country, had a bunch of offers going into your senior year, right? Remember how you felt the first couple of games, and how well did you perform the first couple of games of your senior season, especially punting?
It was my senior year high school.
Yeah, remember? Do you remember what you did the first couple of games?
I remember that my punting definitely wasn't as good as I would have liked.
And why was that?
Because my expectation was a little bit too high. I was a little bit, I was just, I kind of set it a little bit too high and wanted to hit the big ball every single time. Just kick out of my shoes, I guess. And halfway through the season, I was like, all right, I got to take a step back and readjust and everything. And then the rest of the season was really good from that point on. So, I remember
he was trying to validate, the offers. He's trying to validate the rankings. And because, every time he went out there, everyone was watching him to see, oh, he's going to be a college punter. He must hit 5.0s all the time. And he tried to do that. And it did not
work out.
He did not do that.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, Austin, let's just do 43 4.3s now, for the rest of the year. And he did just fine the rest of the year. But he started off with he was trying to prove a point to everyone that was watching him.
Okay, so the expectation was 38, and the actual was 45.
You can't have that mindset.
Dude, you outperformed your expectations by 20% or so.
Nicely. My kickoffs were the same too. First couple of games as punting, I remember that too. Just thinking about it. Yeah, I obviously, I was, my rankings and stuff. I was ranked, I guess, decently high as a kicker. Everybody saw me more as a punter, but I still kicked in high school all 4 years, and I still do a little bit now as well. But my kickoffs weren't as good as well. So I just tried and set that bar, take it back a little bit, and that helped for sure.
So for you, why is seeking validation such a problem?
It's just, it just doesn't put you in a good, spot. It's just, I don't know, Dad, what would you call it? I don't really know the right words. Yeah.
I call it the recipe for disaster. How's that?
Yeah.
You become a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
If you're trying to validate it.
Yeah.
Just do you.
What we're talking about right now really reminds me of number 12 at Augusta, the par 3, and you constantly have the caddy and the golfer communicating back and forth about wind and what's going on in the trees. They're really laying out the expectations that, look, if we come out of here with a 3, a par, like, that's a net positive, because, you know, we've seen guys like Jordan Spieth who, you know, basically lost the tournament on that hole because it's so difficult. Whatever happens with the ball, once the wind hits it, it's, you know, all bets are off. So, Brian, I mean, have you been playing much golf lately with Austin? Austin, have you been playing much golf?
I haven't played. See, this is the hard part about being a dad of a kicker and a punter. How much golf have I played the last 3 years, Austin, because of you?
Like 0.
Exactly. He's taken all my golf money has been put into camps and plane tickets across the country. So
yeah, he has.
I don't play very much anymore, but I still love it. I want to play in Lubbock one day. I just haven't had a chance to yet.
You can.
Okay, so you're new to Texas. Where's your favorite burger?
Definitely not Whataburger.
What? You don't like Whataburger?
Not that. You're not converting me. I'm in and out all the way. That's why I was born.
Oh, okay. So you're an in guy.
I am.
No, in and out, James. In and out.
What's in and out anyway?
They have it in Dallas, James. Go treat yourself to a proper hamburger. Go to In-N-Out in Dallas. Multiple locations in the Big D.
Maybe one day we'll have to meet at In-N-Out Burger, since that's the only place you go to get a burger. My brother played baseball at Texas Tech, and when I went to visit him, he did take me to Blue Sky in Lubbock. Those were pretty good.
They are very good. Yep, they got good burgers too. Yeah, they are for sure.
Whataburger's trash. I hope this podcast is not sponsored by Whataburger.
I hope the Simple Kicking Show podcast isn't sponsored by Whataburger either.
Good for you.
Oh, man. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. This was a ton of fun. We'll do it again sometime down the road. Austin, have an awesome season, and thanks again for joining.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
If you enjoyed the content, join the community by subscribing to the Simple Kicking channel below, or drop a like and maybe a comment. It would be really cool to hear from you. Also, you'll find Simple Kicking on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and yes, even TikTok.